Do you know who the ancestor of chess is? It is liubo, which was widely circulated long before the spring and autumn and warring states periods. Not only is it the ancestor of all types of chess, it can even manipulate people's minds using real people as chess pieces. The winner not only can survive successfully, but also gain riches and honor, even able to suck away the loser's time and become younger and younger. Since Hu Hai last sucked the soul of Su Northland using the 9-long cup, he found that his royal brother did not wake up afterward. He began to suspect that the boss was playing tricks. He speculated that Su Northland is not the reincarnation of Fu Su. Lu Zigong, who appeared earlier, is the one. Moreover, his age calculation matches perfectly. He immediately decided to find a way to test him. A few days later, Lu Zigong was asked by his mother to go to Xi'an to visit a distant uncle. He was exhausted from traveling by boat and carriage along the way. The bumpy ride on the carriage made him feel very uncomfortable. But for some reason, as long as he held on to that knife, he felt much more at ease. Finally, the carriage stopped at a place. Lu Zigong took out his cell phone, ready to call his uncle. He found that there was no signal in the wilderness. He turned around and saw a huge ancient-style villa in front of him. Upon seeing Lu Zigong's arrival, someone quickly came out to greet him. Even more surprising to Lu Zigong is, the house is actually designed in a wooden architectural style inspired by the Qin and Han dynasties. It is evident that the homeowners have spared no expense. However, judging from the ancient trees towering in the courtyard, this courtyard doesn't look like it was newly built. Could it be that it has been passed down since the Qin dynasty until now? Lu Zigong thought it over and felt it was impossible. After enduring wind, rain, the baptism of war, the ancient buildings that still stand upright in China after more than 2,000 years, probably only the Great Wall fits that description. But as he looked around, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was something off about the layout of this house. Before he could figure it out, the servant had already taken him into the house. Uncle warmly welcomed him. He pulled him to the dinner party and introduced to everyone. "This is my nephew, Lu Zigong, who works at the National Museum." Lu Zigong's name quickly caught the attention of everyone present. It turns out he shares the same name as the famous Jade Master in history. I wonder if he also has the Kunwu saber by his side. Lu Zigong self-deprecatingly remarked that this whole thing is thanks to my archaeology-obsessed old man. When I was born, he happened to be engrossed in studying jade artifacts of the Zigong style. With a stroke of his pen, he named me Lu Zigong. Suddenly, everyone burst into laughter. But he could also see that all the people present should be insiders, otherwise ordinary people would not know who Lu Zigong is. At this moment, the host Elder Yu makes an appearance. But what Lu Zigong noticed was the man Hu Hai with red pupils and silver-white hair standing next to Elder Yu. This man's appearance was extraordinarily beautiful, making it hard not to attract attention. While everyone was enjoying the banquet, Uncle Biao then revealed the purpose of finding Lu Zigong. It turns out that the owner of this mansion, Elder Yu, is a highly respected figure in the antique circle. He likes to invite some people over every once in a while to gather together, and then take out a few pieces of his antique collection for everyone to appreciate. It is not easy to attend such gatherings. So Uncle specifically invited Lu Zigong to come over as an advisor to avoid embarrassment. Everyone, after eating and drinking to their heart's content, couldn't wait to see what treasures Elder Yu brought today to amaze them. I didn't expect that gatherings usually featuring 2 or 3 treasures would only have one today. It shows that the value of this antique alone is worth 3 regular items. Everyone is very curious about what treasure is about to be presented. Everyone gathered around to take a look, and it turned out to be liubo. Liubo is a type of ancient board game that was quite popular during the spring and autumn and warring states periods, as well as the Qin and Han dynasties. This ancient game of liubo is actually the precursor to all board games involving military strategies in the world. Games like chess and Japanese shogi gradually evolved from liubo. As the ancients often said, in the phrase, bo-e, the art of strategic play, E denoted the game of Go, while Bo pointed to the now-lost game of Liubo. Moreover, just by looking at the order of the two characters in Bo-E, one can understand that the popularity of Liubo was more widespread than Go in the beginning. But for some reason, Lu Zigong couldn't help feeling that something was not quite right when looking at the precious Liubo in front of him. At this moment, Uncle suddenly leaned in front of Elder Yu and asked him about the approximate age of this Liubo set. Then he glanced at Lu Zigong, asking him to perform. Lu Zigong cleared his throat and began to explain that the structure of Liubo remained unchanged from the spring and autumn period to the Warring States period, up to the Western Han Dynasty. However, during the Eastern Han Dynasty, there was a reform where the revised Liubo was called Little Bo, and the original Liubo was renamed Great Bo. The main difference between them lies in the number of zhu, with Great Bo having 6 zhu and Little Bo having 2. Xiong's role is similar to that of zhu, serving as a kind of dice that is similar to the modern dice in shape but not a cube, rather a polyhedral spherical form. The Liubo set in front with 6 zhu is likely an antique from before the Western Han Dynasty. But Lu Zigong felt it was unlikely. It's impossible for something to be preserved so simply for thousands of years, especially if it's made of wood. Most likely, it is a replica made by later generations. The Liubo set also appears to have a history of several hundred years. Suddenly, someone noticed that the pattern on this chessboard looks very familiar, resembling the layout of this courtyard house. It turns out that the owner of the house was obsessed with Liubo, so he mimicked the Liubo board to build this house. Lu Zigong was shocked to hear this, saying that this means the house has actually been around for at least 2,000 years. No wonder he felt the layout was strange as soon as he entered here. The square hall where they are sitting should correspond to the rectangular area drawn in the Liubo chessboard. The twisted curved path and the areas at both ends probably have corresponding curved corridors and pavilions. At this moment, Elder Yu's assistant and Nuo suggested that since there were exactly 12 people present tonight, and there happened to be 12 game pieces in Liubo, everyone should experience the fun of Liubo firsthand. 2 people could play the game while others could walk around the courtyard as a post-dinner stroll. Upon hearing this suggestion, everyone was eager to take a stroll and explore the ancient courtyard. So Nuo began explaining the rules of Liubo. Each side has 6 pieces 1, Xiao, and 5, San, hence the name, Liubo, 6 Bo. The Xiao piece is the royal piece, or the king piece. Elder Yu and another person take turns to play. To cast the zhu is to throw 6 bamboo sticks. The number of curved faces facing up determines how many steps can be taken. The rules are very simple. But when Nuo asked who would play against Elder Yu, the scene fell silent. Everyone wanted to take a walk in the yard and search for treasures, not to play chess with the old man. Only Uncle volunteered to play against Elder Yu, hoping to take the opportunity to strike up a conversation with him. Later, Nuo asked everyone to take a walkie-talkie for easy communication. Several people then went to the storeroom to get an ancient dagger to hold in their hands. Having the knife taken away by someone means that this chess piece has been captured. After everyone has finished drawing lots to form groups, Nuo asked everyone to pick up the chess pieces of their respective teams and use the cinnabar brush at hand to write their names on them. When it was Lu Zigong's turn, he remembered there is a saying that writing names in red ink brings bad luck. But seeing that no one else minded, he followed suit. Not long after, Lu Zigong arrived at the compartment to select an ancient sword. He found, however, that these swords all had no scabbards. In the end, he chose a willow leaf saber, which was the most common during the Ming and Qing dynasties. He followed the instructions on the walkie-talkie to move to the northeast corner of the courtyard. The northeast corner was a quiet area of the courtyard. Lu Zigong arrived at a pavilion and took a rest. He didn't know why, but holding that willow leaf knife always made him inexplicably restless. He speculated that it was because the knife had been stained with too much grim blood in the past, causing it to carry a sense of hostility. After he put down the ancient knife, he did feel a lot more relieved indeed. He took out the Wu saber and held it in his hand. The sword itself exuded a sense of purity, making him feel refreshed and at ease. Suddenly, Lu Zigong sensed that there was someone lurking behind him. He quickly put away the Wu saber. He turned around and saw that it was Hu Hai behind him, mistakenly thinking that he had come to take the knife. He kindly reminded him that the knife was on the table, and he could take it. But it wasn't until Hu Hai approached that he realized. Hu Hai was empty-handed and did not bring the knife. Has he been killed by someone? The rule of Liubo being taken away also means death, but Hu Hai displayed a particularly angry look. Lu Zigong reminded that it's just a game, young master who doesn't need to mind. I didn't expect that Hu Hai would counter with a question. Do you know the origin of this mansion? Long, long ago, there were two brothers who loved playing Liubo. The younger brother often lost to the older one. Despite repeated defeats, he continued to try. Seeing how passionate the two brothers were about Liubo, the older brother's friend suggested building a villa with a Liubo board as the centerpiece. In the end, this mansion was designed by the older brother's friend's master, but it went through many twists and turns. By the time the mansion was completed, the older brother had passed away. The younger brother had built the house, but was left without anyone to play Liubo with. He lingered in this mansion, so his subordinates suggested to cater to his preferences by using this mansion to play actual human Liubo. The rules of the game and today's playing method are the same as usual. The only difference is that once, he was playing against his own uncle. The subordinates had a dispute. The person who had his knife taken away was unwilling to accept it. This time during the game, a life was accidentally lost. The game of Liubo turned into a tragedy after a life was lost, and it spiraled out of control, resulting in the deaths of 7 people. In the end, the younger brother lost to his uncle in this game. Afterwards, he suddenly realized that his uncle, who was nearly 50 years old, had actually become several decades younger. Afterwards, it was rumored that winning in a game of Liubo would make the victor younger by the number of people who died on the opposing side during the match. You could say that this is a game of Liubo played with lives. Although Lu Zigong found it absurd after hearing that, he still felt a sense of unease welling up in his heart. But at this moment, the game has already begun. A piercing and tragic scream suddenly came from the distance. Is it possible that something has happened so quickly? Lu Zigong quickly ran over to check. The sound clearly came from this direction, but all that was seen on the scene was a pool of blood and Yin Ao's glasses. Could it be that he has already been killed? Lu Zigong looked around. Sure enough, a headless body lay on the side. There were no signs of a fight around. Yin Ao's knife by his side was also missing. The murderer must have used a sharp blade to cut off his head with one stroke, and then took the knife away. Thinking of what Hu Hai just said, Lu Zigong felt extremely frightened. Could it be that he didn't deceive himself? This is truly a game of Liubo played with lives. He saw that Lu Zigong still seemed to not believe it. Hu Hai suggested that we continue to watch. He lightly tapped on Lu Zigong's back. Lu Zigong's body immediately became numb and couldn't move. He could only let Hu Hai grab him and take him to another place. There is also a pavilion here, which should be at the southwest corner of the yard. And at this time, the twin brother, Lin Yin, is holding a machete waiting here. Luckily, he has not encountered any danger yet. At this time, Hu Hai explained to Lu Zigong that actually, Liubo consists of only 1, Xiao, chess piece and 5, San, chess pieces. In the spring and autumn and warring states periods, the military system was based on groups of 5, with an additional squad leader, totaling 6 people in a team. Liubo actually includes 2, Sai, chess pieces, and the rest are Du Ji Lu and Xiao. Just now, Lu Zigong's Sai chess piece was defeated. Next should be this Du chess piece. Lu Zigong wants to shout out to remind Lin Yin to be careful. He found that he couldn't make a sound at all. Hu Hai said, "The game has already begun. No one can stop it. Since you're here, Why not enjoy the show? At this moment, the older twin brother Lin Yin came forward with a knife. Lin Mo saw Lin Yin and praised. This cowtail knife is truly authentic. Let me take a look at the knife in your hand as well. After a while, Lin Mo noticed that his brother did not pay attention to his request. Instead, he approached with cold eyes step by step. At this time, Hu Hai asked if Lu Zigong still remembered the pair of brothers. Later, the younger brother discovered that as long as someone's name was written on a liubo chess piece, that person would become a piece in the game, allowing the xiao chess pieces to control them. And the more resentment the knife in hand holds, the more it can control the mind of the wielder. In the past, the knife was just a tool for killing, but now the knife attaches itself to a person's body, controlling their mind to commit murder. Isn't this a very interesting thing? Lu Zigong remembered the restless and ominous feeling he had when holding the willow leaf knife just now. Fortunately, he had let it go a long time ago. But this pair of brothers in front of him were clearly being controlled by the knife they were holding, swinging it towards their loved ones. After all, these ancient swords have been thirsty for hundreds or thousands of years, and are eager to taste human blood again. But when two chess pieces meet, one of them will inevitably be captured. Sure enough, the older brother unexpectedly swung his sword from behind. But he was stabbing towards his own body. By the time Lin Mo realized it, Lin Yin was already on the ground and couldn't get up. Couldn't witness the brothers killing each other. Hu Hai uttered angrily. Boring! He pulled Lu Zigong along to another place to watch a show. Accompanied by Lin Mo's heart-wrenching screams, Lu Zigong gradually disappeared, feeling that this person was as cold and merciless as the god of death. This time, the two of them hid together to eavesdrop on a quarrel between a young couple. As for the couple, it's obvious they got together privately. Right now, the house has turned into a real liubo game board. Uncle Biao, as the xiao chess piece, won't be in danger for the time being. Lu Zigong is worried that this young couple in front of him will definitely get into trouble if they stay here. He wants to warn them, but he still can't make a sound. At this time, the walkie-talkie broadcasted Elder Yu's command to make a move in the chess game. The next second, Xia Qianqian, who had just been arguing with her husband, was held at knife point. She tremblingly raised the knife and advanced menacingly towards her husband. People who write their names on the chess pieces cannot violate the orders of the xiao chess. Lu Zigong on the side watched anxiously. At this moment, the knife in Xia Qianqian's hand kept brainwashing her, saying it's all her husband's fault. After marriage, did he still treat you as considerately as he did when you were in love? You have to take care of your mother-in-law and consider her feelings. You have to work and do housework at the same time. They also want you to give up your flourishing career to have children. Kill him. Xia Qianqian's body couldn't control the short knife in her hand, but she kept denying in her mind. It's not like this. He is my husband. I can't lay a hand on him. Just as Xia Qianqian struggled with the ancient knife, Wei Zhuoran, who did not receive the order from Shao Qi, also picked up the knife and said, Since only one of us can survive, let's settle this tonight. Lu Zigong suddenly realized that the knives were the medium through which Shao Qi controlled the players. They were just puppets manipulated by Shao Qi. However, Lu Zigong had already thrown his willow leaf saber in the pavilion earlier. Is it because this Wu saber has the function of dispelling evil that made him unaffected? He just wanted to remind Xia Qianqian and Wei Zhuoran to throw away the knives in their hands. He could only watch helplessly as the couple fought each other. Meanwhile, Hu Hai on the side kept making sarcastic remarks, saying, Husband and wife were once like birds in the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they each fly their own way. This drama is quite good. Watching them argue is meaningless. It's satisfying to see them fight like this. Hearing these words, Lu Zigong felt that Hu Hai was a devil who disregarded human life. He must come up with a way to escape. Otherwise, the people in this mansion will all become nourishment to extend Elder Yu's life. Lu Zigong felt around for the Wu saber. he discovered a warm current flowing through his body. Sure enough, he found that his finger touching the knife could move slightly. But at this moment, Wei Zhuoran had already cornered Xia Qianqian. He raised the knife high and was about to strike down. At a critical moment, Xia Qianqian summoned up courage and stabbed towards Wei Zhuoran's chest. She, who was killing for the first time, was so scared that tears were about to fall. Wei Zhuoran comforted her not to cry. "Your makeup is all ruined. On the day I married you, I promised to make you the happiest bride in the world and never let you cry again." Xia Qianqian just realized. If Wei Zhuoran really intended to harm herself, how could she have won with a small dagger? Just now, Wei Zhuoran's attack seemed dangerous, but they always just grazed her body without causing harm. She watched as her husband gradually closed his eyes. Xia Qianqian's mournful cry echoed through the courtyard. At this moment, Lu Zigong could finally act, but he was still one step too late, watching the couple who were separated by life and death not far away. Lu Zigong really wants to avenge them. But he remembered the boss saying that Wu Saber cannot kill or shed blood. So he quietly left. He wanted to stop this game. But when he entered the main hall, there was no one in the room. The chess pieces on the table were not being controlled by anyone. They were moving on the chessboard by themselves. 4 of the pieces already had the names disappear from them, indicating that they had been killed. Elder Yu's chess piece turned blood red, clearly devouring the victim Lu Zigong. Seeing the situation, Lu Zigong panicked, thinking that he was playing against Elder Yu. All he needed to do was to stop him to end this game. But there is no one in the room now. It's the chess pieces playing by themselves. Could it be that Liubo has come to life, developing its own consciousness? And at this time, in another courtyard, Enigmatic is busy wreaking havoc. Lu Zigong found that in the blink of an eye, names on the chessboard were disappearing one after another. What's more, Elder Yu even spared no one on his own side. This game of Liubo now follows no rules of chess at all. It is simply a monstrous devourer of lives. Now on the chessboard, only Elder Yu, his cousin Hu Hai, and Enigmatic are left. Lu Zigong suddenly realized that Enigmatic is the right-hand man of Elder Yu, who is approaching his cousin. In the backyard, the cousin just came out briefly, and then saw Enigmatic standing behind him. He was completely unaware that danger was approaching. Lu Zigong had a sudden inspiration, thinking that if pieces on a chessboard represent people, and when a person dies, the piece breaks, then what happens in reverse? Watching as Enigmatic approached Uncle Biao, Lu Zigong grabbed the Wu Saber. He directly cut Elder Yu's chess piece in half, but ultimately was one step too late. Uncle Biao's chess piece has already lost its name. After a long time, Lu Zigong slowly opened his eyes, and found himself actually asleep on the table. He looked up and saw that everyone was still there. Only Hu Hai and Enigmatic were missing. At that moment, someone suddenly noticed that Elder Yu's body was stiff and motionless, as if he was already dead. Everyone quickly went out to find help. Uncle Biao seized the opportunity to find Lu Zigong amid the confusion, and asked what was going on. Lu Zigong speculated that the moment when all of them wrote their names on the chess pieces, their souls were sucked into the chessboard. Because he forcefully broke the Shao piece, the Liubo game did not take everyone's lives. Otherwise, when the game ended, only Elder Yu would have awakened. The doctor quickly arrived at the scene, and everyone decided to go outside for some fresh air. Lu Zigong is preparing to put away the Liubo game. He was reminded by Yan Ao that it would be better to burn this thing. He was unable to explain what happened just now, but the feeling of being killed was too realistic. This Liubo is really eerie. Lu Zigong also feels that this Liubo is eerie, but it is after all an ancient object. If it is separated from this house, it should not cause any trouble. He is planning to send this chessboard to the silent house for safekeeping. Before leaving, he found that Enua's name could be easily erased, but both his and Hu Hai's names could not be removed. However, he didn't pay much attention to this matter. Little did he know that somewhere, and Newell had already become a lost soul under Hu Hai's knife. And it seems like this game is not over yet. Do you know that the author of Dream of the Red Chamber may not necessarily be Chao Shuoqin? It could be an autobiography of someone else. There are so many things related to the Jiangnan region in the book. Chao Shuoqin, who was born in Beijing, might not have seen them firsthand. Moreover, he claimed to have experienced hardships in his early life, and yet he wrote such a timeless masterpiece. How is this possible? All right. Hong Sheng visited the Chao family before he died, and perhaps later Chao Shuoqin found his manuscripts among his grandfather's belongings. It's not certain. Based on this manuscript, he reviewed it for 10 years, revising it 5 times. This process was not easier than creating it, and he also put in a lot of effort. Hong Sheng then, due to the incident at Longevity Palace, did not sign his real name on the manuscript. Over the years, the truth has been passed down, and many people may not know this, assuming Chao Shuoqin is the author. Today is the 6th day of the 6th month in the lunar calendar, which is also the day for sunning books in the Silent House. Su Northland volunteered to move books, but ended up exhausted. Suddenly, he smelled the scent of ink from the books and felt refreshed and joyful. Su Northland asked the boss why the smell of this box of books is particularly different. Could it be that there is a piece of ink inside, indicating that most of the books inside are manuscripts, not bound books? When Su Northland unfolded the manuscript, he immediately smelled a strong scent of ink. He couldn't help but ask, "What kind of ink is this? It smells so good." The boss was very curious when he saw Su Northland. He decided to tell him a story. One day, in the 3rd year of the Xuanji reign, the whole family of Hong Manor is busy preparing for young Master Hong Sheng's first birthday picking ceremony. Only a small piece of ink is missing for young Master to grab during the ceremony. A servant remembered there is a small piece of ink in the inventory. Although the ink looks a bit ugly, this piece of ink is small enough. And the person who gave the gift mentioned that this is a Yin Gui ink stick made by Li Yingui of South Tang during the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period. It's priceless. Little did they know, upon opening the box, it actually awakened the long-dormant spirit Shi ink in the Yin Gui ink stick. It is the first ink created by the owner. Because the owner poured too many expectations into the refining process, so at the moment of its creation, it gained a little consciousness. But from the moment she was born, she was disregarded because of her appearance. Later, her owner became famous for making ink and caught the emperor's attention, leading to her being appointed as an official ink maker for the court. The entire Li family was bestowed the imperial family name, Li clan, and the ink they produced was henceforth known as Li ink stick. After several decades, everyone in the world knows that gold is easy to obtain, but Li ink stick is hard to come by. In the end, only the ink made when her owner's last name was still Shi remained. So she named herself Shi ink. Afterwards, the owner's reputation gradually surpassed that of his father, the world-renowned Li ink stick, who also gradually became Yin Gui ink stick. After the owner passed away, it was confirmed that Shi ink of Yin Gui ink stick was as precious as gold. She was sent as a gift to the Hong family, but the master of the Hong family did not appreciate literary pursuits. He casually stored her in the warehouse, so Shi ink slept for several more years. She woke up again and found that people's outfits had changed a lot. The men's hair was bald in front, but they still had big braids tied at the back. She seems to be preparing for a first birthday picking ceremony based on the scene. And the little master, Hong Sheng, caught the first treasure. It turns out that it's Shi ink who said that children are spiritual. Could it be that this child can see herself? Shi ink is full of anticipation. The butler on the side was about to say that the young master's future was bound to be extraordinarily successful, but the brat unexpectedly popped Shi ink into his mouth as if it were a piece of candy. He immediately spit it out upon tasting the bitterness. Shi ink was extremely disappointed. She really can't have too high expectations for a 1-year-old child. Afterwards, the little master turned around and crawled towards Yin Ji, He grabbed a handful and stuffed it into his mouth. Master Hong, seeing this, flew into a rage, firmly believing that this kid is hopeless, destined to be a playboy in the future. After saying that, he swept his sleeves and left. 15 years passed in the blink of an eye after the Hong Sheng first birthday picking ceremony. Shi Ink ended his life in the box and was placed on Hong Sheng's desk. Master Hong is old-fashioned and cannot accept that his son is interested in painting. He insists that his son pass the imperial examination and achieve great success. However, Hong Sheng is not cut out for studying. He falls asleep as soon as he touches the classics. Instead, he enjoys composing poetry with his sisters, and they have established the Banana Garden Poetry Society in Hong Garden. Hong Sheng's cousin, Huang Hui, came to his room for a visit and was very curious to see the yen gui ink stick placed on the desk. Although she was certain that this ink was indeed soft to the touch and fragrant when smelled and hard as jade. Characteristics. It is uncertain whether it has the characteristics of clear when ground, silent when polished, as shiny as lacquer. Hong Sheng wants to grind ink to try out when he sees his cousin. He feels somewhat hesitant though. After all, this ink has been on his desk for 15 years, and he has never thought to use it up. But in order to make his cousin happy, he decided to reluctantly give it a try. Huang Hui took the yen gui ink stick and started grinding it on the inkstone. But after a long time, she still didn't stop. Hong Sheng was worried that his cousin might have ground all the ink away. Suddenly my cousin exclaimed in delight, saying, "I never expected that the legendary yen gui ink stick could be soaked in water for 3 years without deteriorating. It's true. Even after grinding for so long, the inkstone still holds a pool of clear water." It seems that this ink has a lot of spirituality. She wouldn't even pay attention to ordinary poems. Huang Hui immediately encouraged his cousin, saying that in the future, he must create a masterpiece to be worthy of this ink. But at this moment, the proud Shi Ink didn't believe it at all. What earth-shattering work can this little rascal who eats rouge create? What he didn't expect was the experiences of just 20 years. But it made her completely change her opinion of Hong Sheng. Hong Sheng became famous in the literary world as a young man, creating many poems, essays, lyrics, and music. Many people in the Jiangnan area sang his works, which became extremely popular at that time. Not long after, he and Huang Hui happily married. The couple harmonized like the strings of a qin and se together, living in perfect harmony. Later, Hong Sheng was sent by his father to the Imperial Academy in the capital to study, hoping he could secure an official position and bring honor back to his hometown. Unexpectedly, Hong Sheng dropped out halfway through his studies, and even declared his intention to give up the imperial examinations. Master Hong, in a fit of anger, drove him out of the house. When he left Hong Garden, he did not bring any gold or silver valuables, only taking the yen gui ink stick placed on the desk, and went to the capital city with his wife, Huang Hui, to make a living. But he lived a very difficult life because he had no special skills. He often relied on his wife to sell jewelry to supplement the household expenses. But that winter, Huang Hui fell ill and couldn't get out of bed. Hong Sheng, who had nothing but the empty walls at home, smelled that familiar fragrance. Although reluctant, he still brought along the yen gui ink stick. He came to the silent house wanting to exchange some money. He saw this small antique shop. The interior turned out to be so understatedly luxurious. Hong Sheng feels that for this yen gui ink stick, this might be a good place to go. Hong Sheng handed the yen gui ink stick to the owner of the silent house. The boss felt it was very rare to see such a well-preserved ink stick. But he still advised Hong Sheng to keep this ink with him. But Hong Sheng, pressured by life's circumstances, truly cannot make ends meet now. The boss asked him if he knew how to write scripts. Hong Sheng used to write scripts frequently many years ago. Then, he would have the family opera troupe perform them. Of course, he must be skilled. So the boss took the initiative to offer to introduce a few people to help Hong Sheng write some scripts. and the boss took out a stack of silver bills to prepay Hong Sheng. The boss advised him to keep this Yingui ink stick well, as it will bring you good inspiration. From now on, Hong Sheng makes a living by writing plays. Over the years, he wrote a play called Longevity Palace, which attracted huge crowds when performed, even reaching the palace. Hong Sheng's reputation in the capital rose rapidly, becoming a sought-after figure by high officials and nobles. Unknowingly, he got embroiled in power struggles among several princes. Due to staging the Longevity Palace on Empress Shui Ren's Memorial Day, he was not only impeached and imprisoned in the following year, but also stripped of his scholar status by Emperor Kangxi. Though the emperor did not further punish him, Hong Sheng was forced to leave Beijing and return to his hometown of Qiantang. However, Hong Sheng married a gentle and kind wife named Huang Hui, who remained humble and gracious whether in poverty or prosperity, without complaining or showing off. This time selling the house in the capital city and returning to the old residence, Huang Hui did not utter a word of complaint. Watching the two of them supporting each other, Shi Ying suddenly felt that although his life was long, most of the time was filled with loneliness and darkness. Having someone to accompany you, even if life is tough and difficult, would be comforting, wouldn't it? Whenever Hong Sheng is lost in thought late at night, Shi Ying always feels that he can sense his own existence. One night, he suddenly said to the ink block, "Shi Ying, it seems like you've had something on your mind since returning from the capital." This startled Shi Ying. Good thing, he added afterwards. I must be obsessed with writing, talking to an ink block like this. But Hong Sheng still shared his thoughts with Shi Ying. He didn't feel regretful about being relegated back to his hometown, because he knew the capital was a ruthless place where he would eventually be devoured. Being back home was actually not bad at all. Hong Sheng caressed the ink block, lamenting that the fame and fortune brought by the Longevity Palace had almost stifled his creativity. He still remembered promising Shi Ying that he would write a masterpiece for the ages. Looking back on his life, Hong Sheng recalled that his Hong family was originally a respected clan. During the Southern Song dynasty, there was once a father and son in the Hong family who held positions as duke, count, and 3 prime ministers. The 3 Hongs were famous scholars known throughout the world, with knowledge spanning ancient and modern times. However, in his own generation, due to being implicated in the revolt of the 3 feudatories, his family was investigated by the authorities, his parents were exiled to military service, and his sisters were depressed to death one by one. He himself was left facing the already abandoned Hong Garden. Looking back on his lack of achievements, Hong Sheng decided to narrate the crimes of his half-life in a chapter to let the world know. Shi Ying watched him write a story. But the more she watched, the more she felt there was a deeper meaning within. When the male protagonist of the book was born, he had a piece of jade in his mouth, which formed the character for country. There were 8 characters carved on the jade, similar to Imperial Heirloom Jade Seal, the Heisher Jade, symbolizing the rule of the Han dynasty. Additionally, during the second year of the Xuanji reign, there was a prince in the capital city whose authenticity was uncertain and who was decapitated. Wasn't Hong Sheng born at exactly that time? Shi Ying looked at the content that he had written little by little, and suddenly realized that Hong Sheng was clearly writing about his own life. He has infused his blood and tears into the sentences. Each word is a gem. After a while, Shi Ying suddenly felt restless. Recently, Hong Sheng was invited to the grand gathering at the Jiangning Imperial Silk Manufacturing Office, which gathered celebrities from both the north and the south. The performance will all take place in the Longevity Palace, and it might take about 10 days for him to return from this trip. Chao Yin and Hong Sheng are quite close, and Chao Yin is also a refined scholar. He often helps financially struggling writers from Jiangnan to publish their works. This time, Hong Sheng is going to ask him to publish the newly written book, The Story of the Stone. Before leaving, he also promised Huang Hui that he would show her the last 80 chapters as soon as he returned. But unexpectedly, a month later, Huang Hui received a letter and burst into tears. It turned out that Hong Sheng had died tragically in a boating accident in Wu Town on his way back. The moment he heard the news, She felt a sharp pain in her chest, sighing that life is truly fleeting. She thought she was about to be enclosed back in the box to endure long and lonely years. Wang Hui remembered that Hong Sheng, before leaving, promised to complete the manuscript for the remaining 80 chapters. She decided that she couldn't let him leave just like that. She must help him to write this work. She also wants to contribute to Hong Sheng. She actually appeared in Huang Hui's hand. She accompanied her in writing this monumental masterpiece. Su Northland has a sudden realization after listening to this story. The manuscript in the boss's hand should be written with ink made from the Yen Gui ink stick. But he remembers that the author of Dream of the Red Chamber is Chao Shuiqin, right? Is there any connection with Hong Sheng at all? The boss told him that the manuscript that Hong Sheng left before he died went to Chao family, and it ended up in the hands of Chao Yin. Later, some things happened in the Chao family, and Chao Yin didn't have time to have the book printed. Perhaps Chao Shuiqin stumbled upon that manuscript among his grandfather's belongings, felt a strong connection to his own origins, and spent 10 years reviewing and revising it 5 times, forming what is now known as Dream of the Red Chamber. However, the last 40 chapters may have all been written by his hand. Due to the incident at Longevity Palace, Hong Sheng no longer used his real name on the manuscript. As time passed, it was mistakenly believed that Chao Shuiqin was the true author. Su Northland still finds it hard to believe. So the boss asked him back, with so many southern things in the book, where did Chao Shuiqin, born in the capital, see them? And how could he write such an extraordinary masterpiece at the age of 20? At 20, he claimed to have experienced setbacks in life. He was the only son of the Chao family, so where did all these sisters come from? During the Yongzheng period, when the literary persecution began, how could he dare to write such anti-Qing, pro-Ming content? But why hasn't anyone come out to debunk it? You must know, right? Thinking it over, Su Northland feels reasonable. In history, even the first emperor of Qing could be considered a tyrant, so it's not impossible for an author of a novel to be misidentified. Did you know that in history, the prematurely deceased immortal of war, Han Xian, might have been impersonated by someone else? Please leave. You have been by my side for so many years. In the future, you will definitely be able to play my role well. This is De Ji, the fox spirit. The enchanting ring can change a person's appearance. In the future, you will be Han Xian, the general of the Great Han. This is your own choice. No matter what the outcome is in the future, do not regret it. General, take care. The girl found a purse by the roadside. I didn't expect the owner turned out to be the owner of the nearby The Silent House antique shop. The boss immediately saw the name Yu Chui on her school uniform at a glance. The boss immediately said that this purse was destined for her and asked her to accept it. He then poured out a seed from the purse. He told her that this was the seed of the beauty Yu, and Miss Yu, you are also destined. This seed will be the token of gratitude for returning the purse. You can plant it in a flower pot when you return home. Yu Chui found the boss's words interesting, so she accepted the seed. After returning home, she casually threw the seed into the flower pot. But strange things happened that night. Yu Chui felt heavy and thirsty in a half-dream state. At first, she thought it was sleep paralysis, but she realized it was pitch black all around, and it seemed like something was enveloping her, making her unable to move. Suddenly, she felt a stream of water descending from above. She couldn't help but greedily suck it up. After drinking enough water, she felt all over her body, as if she could absorb moisture all over her body. There are people making wishes on their heads, urging them to drink more water and sprout earlier. Yu Chui only realized this then. She actually turned into a seed herself. She was buried in the dark soil. It took her 3 days to accept this fact. And during these 3 days, she learned that the boy who watered it is named Ji, and he lives with his uncle. Yu Chui's only way to pass time every day. He listens to the conversations between his uncle and nephew every day, but what's interesting is that Ji is not a young man who puts his uncle's mind at ease. His uncle sends him to school, but he doesn't go. When someone is hired to teach him martial arts, he refuses to learn. Instead, he spends his days lazing around among the flowers and grass. His uncle, who resents his lack of progress, threatens to smash his beloved flower pot. Ji hugged the flower pot and retorted, "Studying literature only helps you remember names. Studying martial arts only allows you to fight 100 opponents. If I must learn, I want to be able to fight 10,000 enemies." His uncle was stunned by his words and decided to personally teach him military strategy. But a few days later, Ji found military strategy too difficult and boring, and didn't want to study it anymore. This made his uncle extremely angry, and he stormed off. Afterward, he continued to take care of his flowers and plants and became a stay-at-home man. This also made Yuchui think that she was just travel back in time to a farmer's family in ancient times. It was not until that day when the nephew and uncle discussed the prophecy. "Though Chu be reduced to but 3 families, it is they who shall bring down Qin," that she realized she had traveled to the Qin dynasty, where Ji, who watered her plants every day, was about to turn 20. After he chose the courtesy name, Yu, for himself and adopted the title, Xiang. Could it be that the homebody who waters his plants every day is the historical figure Xiang Yu, the hegemon king of Western Chu, whom Yuchui could hardly believe? Ever since that day when Xiang Yu vowed to overthrow the first emperor of Qin and replace him, he started to diligently practice martial arts and study military strategy every day. He used to refuse to learn these things because he hadn't realized their usefulness. Now that he has a lofty goal, he naturally started to make an effort. And Yuchui, as a seed, has also decided to work hard to sprout. But after a long time, she drinks water and sleeps every day, occasionally listening to Xiang Yu's soliloquies, as well as his conversations with Uncle Tai. There is no sign of any sprouting from him. For years passed quickly. One day, Yuchui suddenly found out that Xiang Yu did not come to water her plants. After waiting for several days, her body once again fell into a severe state of dehydration. She was on the verge of wilting. She struggles to break through the soil and pushes upward. Finally, after seeing the sunlight, she saw Xiang Yu returning victorious. In the year 209 AD, Qin Sheng and Wu Guang raised their arms and rebelled in Day's township. Xiang Yu, under his uncle Xiang Liang, assassinated the magistrate Yin Tong in Wuzhong and raised troops in response to the anti-Qin movement. At this time, Xiang Yu, who had just turned 24, showed his martial arts skills for the first time. Xiang Yu looked at the small sprout just emerging from the pot, and was surprised to find that it could actually speak. He exclaimed that indeed, watering the seeds for 7 years had made them come alive. Yuchui, who had been forbidden from casting bronze for 7 years, finally had someone to confide in. She told Xiang Yu about her experiences, and after listening Xiang Yu asked the girl what he should call her. Yuchui suddenly remembered the curse of her family. Chui means died and Yu means Xiang Yu. So she only told Xiang Yu her surname. Xiang Yu thought it was inconvenient for the girl to reveal her personal name. He then called her Yu the Beauty. Yuchui then remembered. Xiang Yu did not have the legendary beauty Yu the Beauty by his side to accompany him in the battlefield as the stories say. Instead, one day he told Yuchui that his uncle, King Huai of Chu, appointed him Marquis Wuxin, and he would be going to war with his uncle in the future. And he decided to bring Yuchui to the battlefield with him to see what kind of flowers she could blossom into. When they arrived at the battlefield, his uncle asked him why he brought the pot of flowers. Xiang Yu introduced with great solemnity, "This is Yu the Beauty." His uncle mocked him for giving a pot of flowers a woman's name, suggesting it might be the Beauty Yu. Yuchui finally understood the origin of why Yu the Beauty was called the Beauty Yu, and why, as a woman, she could follow Xiang Yu to battle on the battlefield. Because Yu the Beauty is simply a flower. After being taken to the battlefield by Xiang Yu, Yuchui became his friend whom he could talk to about anything. Xiang Yu was afraid of leading troops into battle. Yu Chui told him to charge forward despite his fears. Xiang Yu was afraid to give a speech in front of the troops, so Yu Chui told him to imagine the people below as large radishes. Since he was worried that his words wouldn't convince the crowd, he should speak less, and instead use his gaze and imposing presence to overpower them. Xiang Yu followed each of the instructions as well. He managed his subordinates and soldiers in an obedient manner. But as soon as he returned to the tent, he turned back into a big shaggy dog, flustered and fawning over Yu the beauty, showering her with all sorts of care and searching for the most beautiful flower pots for her. Day after day of watering, he even hoped that she wouldn't bloom too early, or else she would leave him. But on the night when Yu Chui promised to stay by his side, Xiang Yu received news from a messenger that Xiang Liang had died in the Battle of Dingtao. Overnight, Xiang Yu grew up completely. He decided to fulfill his uncle's wish and overthrow the Qin dynasty. That night, the Yu Chui flower, watered by Xiang Yu's tears, finally bloomed. The next day, when she saw the soldier bringing news of Xiang Liang's death, she felt he looked very familiar. But at this moment, he introduced himself as Han Xian. Yu Chui found the name familiar. Now she regrets not having studied history well in the past, and cannot recall the actions of this person later on. However, Xiang Yu, considering his merit in risking his life to come back and deliver the message, still appointed him as his own halberd guard. In the second year of the second emperor of Qin's reign, Xiang Yu led his troops to attack Shenyang and had a fierce battle with Li Yu, the governor of Qin Chuan Commandery. Xiang Yu killed Li Yu in the midst of tens of thousands of soldiers, resulting in a major defeat for the Qin army. In the same year, Xiang Yu led 100,000 Chu troops to crush 400,000 Qin troops in the Battle of Jiulu. This battle established Xiang Yu's fame, and he was acclaimed as the hegemon king of Western Chu. Yu Chui watched as he gradually became the historical figure known as the hegemon king of Western Chu, but she felt that the young man she knew was slowly drifting away. Their meetings and conversations became fewer and fewer. Later, she heard that he led his army to occupy Xianyang, burned the Apang Palace, and killed many people. He replaced the flower pot he gave to Yu Chui with a more valuable jade one. However, no matter how good the things he gave were, they could not conceal the aggressiveness in him. Xiang Yu said that his uncle's great vengeance had been avenged, and they could go home. However, he found it not so easy to withdraw from the situation. No one would let him go easily, whether they were his subordinates or enemies. Shortly thereafter, the halberd-bearing guards around Xiang Yu were replaced. It turned out that the original Han Xian had betrayed Chu and defected to Liu Bang. He was appointed as the Grand General and fought against Xiang Yu at Gaixia. Xiang Yu was defeated for the first time. After being defeated in battle, he worriedly held Yu the beauty and asked, "What will you do if I die?" Yu Chui cried and scolded him as a fool, saying, "If you die, I'll accompany you. There won't be anyone else in the future who will patiently water me every day like you do. Sooner or later, I will die too." Xiang Yu decisively picked her flower.